This life is beautiful. Hello. Welcome to the Ecstatic Living vlog. I started this vlog because ecstatic living is my life. What is ecstatic living? It's living in a way that's moving towards your growth edges. And this means we are absolutely living guided by primarily our intuition. We let our logic, we let our mind support the process of intuition guiding the way. A little bit of a pre-dance. All right, so Ecstatic Living vlog episode number 2. I still can't believe I'm making vlogs. This is what ecstatic living looks like. You are attuning to your intuition, and your soul's going to ask you to do weird and wacky things like starting vlogs, and you're going to go, all right, I'm for it. And every time you follow one of these little breadcrumbs, these little whispers of your soul, you end up finding out, wow, I think this soul knows what it's doing, because I'm actually having so much fun with this process, but my mind is still catching up. It's like such a identity fuck. Like, what? I just started using YouTube like a year ago. I'm a little late to the game, but here I am, baby. So, ecstatic living, what's this all about? What's vlog 2 about? Part of why this vlog has come as I'm tracking the little breadcrumbs from my intuition, from my soul. A year ago, I started having really profound visions around what my next chapter is. So I moved into a liminal space about a year ago, a little over a year ago, like 14 months ago. I walked away from a whole life chapter that I had built and left the country that I was living in. That's not true. I didn't leave the country then. Okay, I want to keep this short and sweet and to the point. I walked away from my whole life as it was. It was one chapter closing, right? And I knew that I was going to open another chapter. But when you're not just doing things by the book, by how everybody else does them, how you're supposed to do them, it's not clear, right? It's not just like, okay, neat, I close one chapter and then I open the next one and that's what it is. We have to go into a liminal process. And this is something for me that in the current sort of mainstream world culture, we stopped valuing the death, the dissolution periods, and the liminal, the transitional periods, right? Like, we're so quick to celebrate the rebirths and the growth when people are really creating and momentum is happening and things are landing. But what about when you're in the in between? What about when everything is actually dissolving and falling away? That process is just as sacred, because without that process, we don't have the rebirth, we don't have the growth, right? So as I start getting these visions, or I should say, as I walk away from one whole chapter, I'm moving into the liminal, I start getting these really profound visions a year ago that my next chapter is going to be involving ancestral Europe, Mother Europe. That's what I call it. I'm primarily European in my ancestry. And I feel a very strong connection to the lands. I've traveled there many times, but I've only traveled, the first time I traveled there since my this last 9 years, I've been in a spiritual awakening, a healing journey, and really, to me, what it's all about and why I'm landing in ecstatic living is about awakening your creativity. It's about remembering that we are made of pure creative life force energy, and we're living in a field of pure creative potential. And we are creating our lives. We are artists creating our lives every moment. And so 9 years of really intense unbecoming, like shedding so many parts of myself to get to the core of the layers that were keeping my pure creative essence, my creative life force energy from fully expressing, getting to the core of that so that I can sit here now. I'm like, oh my God, it's about ecstatic living. That's what this whole thing is about. And my whole thing is to be this living embodiment of ecstatic living. And apparently, as my soul has guided me, to express it, right? To put it out into the world in the art forms that really bring me alive. So I write on Substack, and now I'm doing vlogs, which apparently I love, and I had no idea. So I start getting these visions for Europe, and that was a year ago, and I've been on this incredible journey since then, where I left Peru, which is where I was living for 3.5 years. That was the chapter that I closed. I came back to the United States, but I went to the East Coast. I stayed in Philadelphia and around Pennsylvania for 6 months. Then I went back to my hometown for 3 months. And now I'm in the third chapter, the third quarter. I've been calling it the fourth quarter. Now I can't remember why. Oh, I remember why. Now I'm actually in the fourth quarter, because really the first quarter I had was when I was still in Peru, but I moved to the other side of the valley that I'd been living in. So that was the first quarter. Second was Philadelphia. Third was going back to my hometown, Southern California, so all the way to the West Coast. And now I'm in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to talk about now in the next vlog. So what I actually am going to be going into in this vlog is this transition, leaving the third quarter, the chapter where I went to visit my hometown after 4 years of being away, and this transition that I've been in from there into the place that I've landed in now, which I'm gonna tell you next. And why does this matter? I'm in a transition period right now. I have been excavating, assessing, activating all these different parts of me. So the work that I've been doing for the last 4 years, running my business as really a spiritual guide, a space holder that works primarily with astrology and somatic wisdom to support people in embodying their souls. That's what I've done for 4 years. And I started to just, as I was coming into this period of ecstatic living and leaving that chapter and taking the leap of faith to come back to North America again as this totally new version of myself. I was just living on my Pluto line in Peru, in astrocartography. We have these lines all over the world associated with the celestial elders. And when you have any kind of activation with Pluto, it's the wrecking ball. It comes in to destroy all the facades, everything that's blocking you from your real soul, your soul expression, your soul power. I went to live on the fucking wrecking ball line for 3.5 years, and it did that. It absolutely obliterated me, and it was amazing. It was ecstatic. It was so intense, so painful, so visceral, so powerful. But on the other side, when you move away, when you're done living on a Pluto line, you are not the same. You're never again the same. It's, I think of Pluto as the process, like when carbon is turning into diamond, the amount of pressure it takes to turn carbon into diamond. That's what living on your Pluto line does. That's what going through Pluto activations does. And I had actually both happening at the same time. So on the other side, as I'm leaping into this new field of creation, this ecstatic living, as I'm coming back to North America, it's not like I'm coming back and just, oh, okay, I'll plug into the systems and everything's going to be figured out. It'll be fine. It's like, no, I'm stripping myself of everything that I knew before and stepping back into this old world that I have all this previous associations with, right? And so I'd been running my business for 4 years, and I had with a sort of break in between because I had been running another group project and business while I was living in Peru. And so when I stepped back into my thing, then it was like, oh my God, okay, now I'm birthing back into the United States. Who am I now? How am I doing this? How do I create? How do I serve? How do I hold space? What is it that brings me into this field of ecstatic living? Through that process, you'll see, like in the first vlog, I'm talking about how I just went through this huge release. Like I'm letting go of the work that I'm doing completely. But the funny thing is, and they say, when we're so scared to let something go that we're being called to let go, it's so true that whatever is meant to stay is going to stay. So it can feel so scary and you're letting it all go. You're releasing these things that you have identity associated with, that you have safety associated with, that you have other people's understanding. So there's a sense of belonging. Like people understand me like this. Maybe they won't understand what I'm moving into, so I don't want to let go. When we let go of all of that, and in any situation, whatever it is, when we're letting go, the things that are really true to your essence are going to stay. And so that's what's actually happened. But in this episode, I'm sharing footage from, it was just the end of January, right? So it's just like one step behind where I'm at in current moment of this process of really moving into this stretch. Like I'm letting go of this role within my business that I know, brings me clients, that I know I'm good at, that I know other people know me as, right? I'm shedding all of this and I'm sharing that raw real-time process of doing that. So that you really, and it's why I titled this episode what I titled it, Normalizing Evolution. Like, it's okay to change as a human. It's okay if people don't understand how you're changing. It's okay to change as a business owner. It's okay to change as a guide, as a space holder. It's okay to change as a creator, as an artist. Let it be raw, let it be messy, let it be real. Because eventually, of course, you're going to find the new sort of shell that fits you. You're going to find, like if you're a plant being repotted, you're going to find the right size pot and you're going to start growing again. But these transitional in-betweens, these liminal spaces, can we honor them? Can we celebrate them? Can we come ecstatically alive in them? Enjoy the fucking process. Be the creator that you are. So originally I thought about just not sharing this content. It was like, oh, I've already had these breakthroughs and shifting on the other side. But then it's like, My soul told me really clearly, this is the point of the vlog, sister. This is the point. Document it, right? So being in the field of ecstatic living, you go through these transitional periods often because you're pushing into your growth edges, which means you're taking risks and you're expanding into territory you've never been in before. So in that process, it doesn't mean that you can't keep doing what you're doing. Let yourself do it in real time as the creatrix of your life that you are. So that's what this episode is about, and I will continue to share this evolutionary process in the following episodes. Sending you all so much love. Here I am laying on my favorite oak tree. I just had probably one of my last sessions for the astrological, somatic, spiritual guidance containers that I've been holding for 4 years. And something really beautiful came through. I used to give ritual prescriptions, so ways that people could do ceremonies and rituals for themselves based on astrological energies that are unfolding and what's being activated in their chart. And this beautiful client that I've been working with asked me a question along those lines from this really big transit that we're in. But before she asked me that, actually, she told me this incredible story. This story, she just completely followed her intuition, dropped into meditation in this beautiful place by the ocean, and opened her eyes to be welcomed serendipitously by this lovely man to come sit next to her and meditate with her. And then they ended up talking about this amazing project that he's doing in a place that she loves, working with something that she's been working with her entire life. Just one of those really serendipitous, you can't plan it encounters and unfoldings. And then after that, she asked me about a ritual suggestion based on the current energies. And I said, you know what? Because I was feeling it as she was talking. It was like, everything you just shared was a ritual. And my whole direct experience and awareness around what I think this new world is that we are starting to step into and create is all about is moving away from spirituality as a framework, as an ideology, as something outside of ourselves, something like separate from our direct day-to-day lived experience. And it's really asking us to do the most spiritual thing we can do, which is become the full expression of creative life force energy that you are. It's becoming so completely embodied and present in yourself and in your life that you are the ritual. You are the ceremony. Every expression that moves through your being, from the mundane to creative acts to every exchange that you have, like whatever's going on, that is the ritual. That's the ceremony of this new world, this new earth. And so I told her, everything you just shared with me, that was it. I couldn't give you a better suggestion than you dropping so fully into yourself and into life in that moment and creating with it and opening to the field of infinite possibility, of pure creative potential, and then co-creating with it when these different things arise. I just loved that. I love that. And I have to say, like, being in the session, there's a part of me right now that's like, I am so good at this. And it's not like I think we should celebrate ourselves and recognize when we're skillful at things. I'm skillful at what I do. It comes very naturally. There is a sense of joy and satisfaction at providing a service like this that I know supports other people and has magic woven into it. It's why I fell in love with it. It's why I did it for 4 years. And I'm sharing this because these can be some of the hardest moments when you're on the ecstatic living journey, where your soul is asking you to move to a new growth edge. And it can be a little bit easier if it's moving towards something that's going to make you feel better than something right now that's really challenging. But when you're being asked to walk away from things that do spark joy on some level, that are kind of familiar, kind of safe zones, like you know them well, it's easy for you to show up in this space, there is sweetness flowing in, and it's not negative, it's just that it's no longer aligned for you, or it's just that in order for your full expression to come in, you have to keep moving towards the next growth edge. Those are some of the hardest things. And especially for the mind really wants to rationalize, like, just stay, don't mess with a good thing. Like, why would you walk away from this? But if you're anything like me, you start to slowly feel this degrading energy, like it's grating at you. Your soul knows it's too small. So even though there's sweetness in it and there's life in it, it's an old version of you. And now, like, the space that you are inhabiting as a being needs a different current of life force energy in order to thrive. Like, you can probably survive in those spaces because of the familiarity, because of the sweetness, but are you really thriving? Are you really ecstatically alive? These are the sacred endings, right? Like, there's so many cycles in life, and I just find that these endings are the hardest. And I made 2 really huge endings this week, in my business, and stepping away from this role and this identity, and also walking away from a social group that I've been in for over 3 years. In fact, almost 3.5 years. And there were many things about being in that group that were really familiar, that were really lovely, that there was a part of me that still wanted to see myself fulfilling what I had originally set out to do with that group, and to not want to let anyone down. And that, I mean, that above everything is the most challenging. To follow your soul's calling into these growth edges, into the next biggest shell that's going to hold you, that's going to allow life force energy to flow through so that you can actually thrive, and have to deal with people being disappointed with your choices, people maybe misunderstanding your choices, or just having a totally different reality and viewpoint around it that makes them want to distance you from them. To walk away from steady livelihood, to walk away from assurance, like confidence when you're good at something, to walk away from that and step into things that you're going to be stretching into and having to build, like you're building muscles when you work out. Those are the moments. What do they call it? Pedal to the metal? No, there's another idiom I'm looking for. It's just when you're tested the most. It's easier to run away from something and towards something that you sense is going to feel better, but to consciously choose to walk away from something before it's a running, and stay true to yourself and your inner knowing and what you need to thrive, even when it hurts, even when it's going to cause rupture, and even if you know you can handle it the best you can with as much integrity and presence and honoring as you can. Those are the most challenging growth edges. And that's where I am today, sitting on my amazing oak tree elder I'm literally laying here. It feels so good to be held by this strong, steady, wise, brilliant being. And it's these moments that give me the fortitude, especially the human part of me, right? It's regulating my nervous system. It's connecting me back into the great mystery, the divine intelligence, that this is so much bigger than me. And, the plants don't doubt where life calls them to put their life force energy. Like, if putting their energy in this direction is going to mean the difference between thriving to them or not, they're going to choose it. They're always oriented towards life force energy, towards finding the sun, towards finding whatever channel or root system is going to give them what they need to thrive. So to have the audacity to trust yourself and what you need to thrive beyond what the complications and the challenges of the 3D material world and relationships, and how hard it is for the body to move through change and to step into the unknown. Yeah, this is what it means, I believe, to be a soul, truly, to be fully alive as a human, which is to be a soul embodied in form. And I really believe this is the time that we're moving into. So another dose, hopefully, of inspiration, that wherever you're being called to grow, if you need a little bit of extra support right now, find a big tree to sit with, find some plants to sit with, drop into that divine intelligence of orienting towards creative life force energy of orienting towards thriving and growth, just the way that the natural world knows how to do, and that nothing in the natural world tries to be any different than exactly how God, Creator, made it to be. So much resource and beauty. Sending you all so much love. And I'm sorry, I'm getting used to this whole vlogging thing, so I realize I'm looking at different places on the screen, but it's part of the journey. Strengthening a muscle, moving towards a growth edge, doing new things. This is what keeps me ecstatically alive. At the beach at the Pacific Ocean in the specific area of the Pacific Ocean in Southern California, south of LA, in Orange County, where I was born and raised. And I was born and raised more inland, but this is the body of water that I associate with my childhood. Absolutely. I have so many fond memories of being at the beach all throughout my childhood and adolescence and even into my early adult years. I always knew that I loved the ocean, but didn't really have language understanding that the ocean is truly a living, brilliant being, and that the nature that surrounds us wherever we live, but when we're talking about where we're born and where we're raised, they're like wise elders that are guiding us and supporting us and holding us throughout those formative years. So this trip has just been really astounding because this is the most attuned I've ever been to these beings. And for me, this is the sort of mother waters and then the father mountains. Sorry, there's a plane going right above me. So you can think about in your hometown where you're from, what's the closest body of water? What's the closest large mountain, or maybe it's a large tree? And just thinking about that as that sacred mother-father energy. So the Pacific Ocean here, so close to where I was born and raised, is definitely my mother waters, and I have several mountains surrounding where I was raised, San Jacinto and Mount Baldy. And so I've connected a lot with those mountains, and on this particular trip, this is actually the first time that I want to say my soul spirit guided me to come here, and it just feels so, it's just perfect. There's a part of me in my mind that's like, I wish I would have spent more time here, but I just have this feeling like for some reason it wasn't supposed to happen until today, and today it has just been divine. I got here at like 8:15 and it was empty except there was 3 men like far down fishing on the coast. I actually didn't know that people did that. Probably seen it before, but haven't seen that in a long time. And yeah, and at some point a little family came up and was sitting by this lifeguard tower, and it was really cloudy, totally overcast and cold and very bundled up. And then it was so beautiful because eventually everyone cleared out. There was absolutely no one here. I was the only person here, which is still true right now. And I just had this beautiful somatic release some tears, and just like, yeah, the difficult part somatically of this incredible healing, profound 3 months back home. It's still this, yeah, it's been a lot on my body more than anything. And yeah, it was just this release just flooded from me. I wasn't expecting it at all, and it felt so cleansing. It felt so good. And then right after it passed, the sun popped over the clouds and the cloud cover receded. And so I ended up totally alone on my childhood beach with my childhood mother water, mother ocean here, with the sun shining, and I just haven't been able to leave. I think it's 11 now, and I'm just glued here. And it was so beautiful because it's an ingrained intuitive practice in me now that when I go to places in nature, I'm thinking of what I'm going to bring as offerings. And I say ingrained and intuitive because it's not like a mental checklist of like, I'm going there, so I had that. It naturally arises in me. And as I was getting ready to leave the house this morning, I was guided over to my little altar space that I created in the room I've been staying in at my mom's house. In this organic, intuitive way, I was guided to gather these items to make offerings here. And I didn't put it together as I was making this little bundle and this little cotton bag that I had, little drawstring cotton bag. I wasn't conscious of everything that I was gathering. I just have this way of like feeling into each object and getting a yes or a no if it's supposed to come. And came here and spent most of the morning writing and just kind of laying down and listening to the ocean. And then after that release and the sun popping out, it was so clear. It's like, oh, it's time to make these offerings. It was like this rebirth happened, and it was like, wow, it's time. Many of these things are things from my past, and I could just feel that it was time to send them back to Mother Ocean, to Mother Earth, just like this release, this conscious composting of giving back to creation for all these things that have, so much meaning and experience associated with them. That's part of a whole chapter, a whole book of my life that I'm closing now. And so as I started to pull these items out of the bag and lay them out, it was incredible because I recognized that each item was actually directly associated from the prominent chapters that have unfolded since 2017 when I moved away from Southern California to now 2026, and everything that happened in between then. Each item was a significant marker of the sort of the most climactic chapters, right? There's a lot of time from, in a 9-year cycle, but there's these moments, these kind of pivotal apex moments that you associate with like that's that chapter and that chapter and that chapter, and they're all sequential. And it was interesting because I ended up laying them out before I even had this conscious awareness. I laid them out in a row. I started laying them out in a row before I even recognized them. By the time I looked, I was like, I had actually laid them in sequential order. It was like, oh my God. It's like, that's the divine intelligence, is the intelligence of all creation when we just allow it to move through us, it's showing us so much wisdom, so much insight. And it's just so magical. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. So I'm just looking this art piece being created by these sacred objects from my life and representing these powerful moments in my life being laid out in a sequential order. And it's like, oh, that's why I got called to bring these, because it can be hard to release some of these. I mean, I've released some really beautiful, sacred things to me just because I feel in my body when it's time to go. It's like, a loving mother. I just had the memory. Probably my first memory, really. I was really hooked on pacifiers. I don't, if people call them other things, the little sucky things that kids use, like toddlers use, babies, toddlers. I had mine for a long time, and my mom, so beautiful. I asked her about this recently. I don't remember what she told me, but I recognize it was such a ritualized experience that she did. It was me and her boyfriend at the time. She had all of us have a pacifier, even though I was the only one who had this loving bonding addiction to this little object of safety in my life. But she had us all take one and honor that this was the end and say goodbye. And then I think we threw them away together or something. And it was amazing because I don't remember ever having an issue with wanting it after that. It was like she actually helped me ritualize the end of this chapter, this relationship with this really special thing to me. And so it's that energy when you get called. It's like I can have this really beautiful crystal that my human self doesn't want to get rid of. It's like the inner toddler that's like, mine, no, safety, it's mine. But I get that feeling like a loving mother, this mother energy of creation, it's womb energy that births us all into this existence, and her just coming down and being like, it's time to let go. Just like you let go of the pacifier. It's time to release this, to compost it, because ultimately it's making way for new life. And so, yeah, there were some sacred objects in there that I felt attachment to, but ultimately could feel, I know this wisdom now, and I trust it and love it so much that it's like, wow. So I took all of these, they're all natural objects, stones, shells, things like that. And so that was when I had the first call to go down to the water and let the water bathe my feet and play with the waves going back and forth. And yeah, and these beautifully timed moments where it felt right. I was naturally reflecting on each chapter associated with the object, and then when I felt the moment of completion, I threw it into the ocean as an offering. And my ultimate prayer before I started any of that was just thanking everything, thanking every relationship, every place on earth, every power dynamic, every challenge, every awakening, every little mundane moment of joy, every single aspect of life, of creation that met me in each one of those chapters. And not even just those chapters, but every moment up until this moment in my life right now. Blessing it, blessing it, blessing it, thanking it, thanking it, thanking it, and then releasing it into the ocean, back into the womb of creation to be composted into this new life that I'm about to embark into. I leave in 3 days to my 3 months in the mountains of Colorado and what's looking to be a very momentous, ecstatic, creatively explosive year ahead. So I thought I would just capture this moment with you all. These final moments while I'm back in my hometown. All right, I'm gonna soak up the beach some more. I love you all.